What would you do if the most powerful army in the world was at your gates, demanding your surrender? What if your city was completely surrounded, with no allies, no escape, and no hope in sight? Would you give in to fear, or would you stand firm? Today, we uncover the incredible, history-changing story of King Hezekiah, a leader whose unwavering faith and astonishing courage defied the most formidable empire of his time. This isn't just an ancient tale. It's a powerful lesson in leadership, faith, and the kind of strength that can move mountains, even when the world tells you it's impossible. So, who was this remarkable king? Hezekiah ascended to the throne of Judah at just 25 years old. He inherited a kingdom in spiritual and political decline, a nation that had strayed far from its foundations. But Hezekiah wasn't a ruler who simply managed the decline. He was a reformer, a visionary who knew that true strength didn't come from political alliances or military might, but from a restored relationship with God. One of his first and most significant acts was to cleanse and reopen the temple in Jerusalem, which his own father had shut down. He tore down the idols and high places where false gods were worshipped, dismantling a system of spiritual corruption that had plagued Judah for years. He called the people to celebrate the Passover, a festival that hadn't been properly observed in generations, uniting the northern and southern tribes in a powerful moment of national rededication. Hezekiah wasn't just fixing a broken system. He was leading his people back to their core identity, reminding them who they were and who they belonged to. His reforms were bold, decisive, and deeply rooted in a conviction that Judah's survival depended on its faithfulness. While Hezekiah was busy restoring his kingdom's spiritual heart, a shadow was looming on the horizon. This shadow was the Assyrian Empire, the undisputed superpower of the ancient world. Led by the ruthless king Sennacherib, the Assyrians were a military machine unlike any other. They were known for their brutal efficiency, their advanced siege warfare, and their psychological tactics designed to break the will of their enemies before the first arrow was even fired. City after city had fallen before them. Their propaganda was as sharp as their swords. Sennacherib's commander, the Rabshakeh, stood before the walls of Jerusalem and mocked the people in their own language. He shouted that their alliances were worthless and their king's promises were empty. He sneered, "Do not let Hezekiah deceive you, for he cannot deliver you. Do not let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord by saying, 'The Lord will surely deliver us.'" He listed all the gods of the other nations that Assyria had crushed, asking why Judah's God would be any different. The message was clear. Resistance is futile. Surrender or be annihilated. Imagine the terror that gripped the city as these words echoed off the walls. The mightiest army on earth was at their doorstep, and their commander was declaring that even God couldn't save them. Faced with this terrifying ultimatum, most kings would have negotiated a surrender or attempted a desperate, doomed counterattack. But Hezekiah did something extraordinary. He didn't consult his military advisors first. He didn't try to rally his troops with a rousing speech. Instead, he tore his clothes in anguish, covered himself in sackcloth, and went straight to the temple. He took the blasphemous letter from Sennacherib's envoys, spread it out before the Lord, and prayed. His prayer wasn't a desperate plea for a miracle. It was a profound declaration of faith. He acknowledged God as supreme power over all kingdoms, and affirmed that the gods of the other nations were merely wood and stone. He prayed, "Now, O Lord our God, save us from his hand, so that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you alone, O Lord, are God." This wasn't just a moment of personal piety. It was an act of national leadership. Hezekiah placed the fate of his entire kingdom into God's hands, demonstrating that his faith wasn't just words spoken in times of peace. It was his ultimate strategy in the face of annihilation. That night, something incredible happened. As the 185,000 Assyrian soldiers slept in their vast encampment surrounding Jerusalem, a silent, unseen event unfolded. The Bible describes it this way. the angel of the Lord went out and struck down the Assyrian army. When the people of Jerusalem awoke the next morning and looked out from the city walls, the scene was surreal. The once mighty, intimidating army was silent. The camp was filled with the dead. There was no battle, no clash of swords, just a quiet, devastating deliverance. King Sennacherib, the proud conqueror, was forced to retreat in humiliation, returning to his capital, Nineveh, with the shattered remnants of his invincible force. He had conquered dozens of cities, but Jerusalem, the city whose king trusted in God, remained standing. The deliverance was so complete and so stunning that it became legendary, a story told for generations as the ultimate proof that faith could indeed overcome the world's greatest powers. It was a victory won not by human strategy, but by divine intervention. Hezekiah's story isn't just a fascinating piece of history. It's a timeless source of inspiration packed with lessons for our own lives. It teaches us that true strength isn't found in our resources, our status, or our own abilities. It's found in our trust in something greater than ourselves, especially when everything seems impossible. Hezekiah's leadership shows us the power of courage, the courage to stand for what is right, even when you're standing alone. It shows us the importance of humility, the willingness to admit we don't have all the answers, and to seek help from a higher power. Most importantly, it demonstrates that faith is not a passive belief. It is active trust. It's turning to God in the middle of the crisis, not just as a last resort. Whether you're facing a personal giant, a professional challenge, or a crisis of faith, Hezekiah's example reminds us that our response in the face of fear can change everything. It challenges us to ask, where do we place our ultimate trust when the armies are at our gates? And don't forget to share this video with someone you know who might be facing their own impossible situation and needs a message of hope today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.